Hello everybody. I have this game against Nopta today, otherwise known as Stupid Seal. And I think this game shows why you should never assume that you're safe. I see a lot of times where people will hit a fairly big high roll and then just assume, okay, well there's nothing that my opponent can do from here, I'm gonna stop thinking. And I think this game shows why you don't do that, because very on I hit like a very big tempo high roll, and then on turn 5 I was still losing a lot of fights, and you'll see why. So here I just roll down for levels. I don't really find anything for a while, but that's not that bad because this is a throw round, which it's 6 to 6 lives. The life doesn't matter, it will go back up to 6 next turn regardless. And so it's actually not that bad because I get to destroy this one. You'll see what happens. So I find the horse level. Another reason I'm also showing this game off, by the way, is to just kind of show the point where we're at in Team Tour. We're in the semi-finals currently. Also, I messed up the ordering here. I missed some dog stats, which is very silly of me. Which I didn't even realize was something I had done. I don't think it mattered for this fight though. We still won this fight. But I'm not sure what caused me to just blatantly miss stats like that. I take the level right away and find sheep. At this point I decide I want to greet the Swan Gold unless I can pill the spider immediately. And then I roll into a pill. And then I pill the spider and immediately, well, you'll see, I get another sheep. So this is like absurd now. Like this is all of a sudden a ridiculous board on turn 4. Where you'd think like I couldn't possibly lose fights against this. Especially because Nopta's got like a very long-term board, level 2 Swan, Rabbit, Giraffe. You think it's very unlikely that I can lose this next fight, as long as I just keep dog stats up. I buy this other dog. I believe if I remember I bought the garlic this turn. Yeah. Because dog is always going to get big with summons, and dog is always a unit that I'm going to keep the most on this board. There's a hippo. And this sub was streamed live on my Twitch, which I'll link in the description. I saw this and immediately went into like panic mode because this hippo is absolutely absurdly good. Not necessarily because it wins this fight, but because it's so hard to set up a board like in the future. Like summons are so much harder to set up now, and I'm like going for the level 2 dog, like that's my entire game plan. Plus he's got a lot more scaling with this level 2 Swan. And obviously he wins this fight. It's pretty close though. If the dog was able to trade through the hippo, I actually get there by 1 HP. But losing this fight is very, very scary. We find the dog level. And I'm still rolling, and I'm just looking for more dogs. And at this point, I cycle stuff. Because I want to be out of summons. I don't want to have to play summons. I even just cycle this otter because I want the dogs to have enough stats to where they can get through this hippo without like any summons needed. And then I put this dog in the front. This ends up working out really nicely. Because Nopta just keeps hippo front. And we're able to trade it. And then this dog is able to trade, and we live here. So now Nopta's on 3 lives, and I have a level. And it's Turkey Shark. Ordinarily, this would be insanely good. This would be broken. But here, they are, like, incredibly bad for my setup because I'm going against the big hippo. I need a way to deal with this big hippo at some point, otherwise I will just get overrun by things like Chili, level 2 hippo, etc. I ultimately decide to take the shark and hope that I can just kind of feed the hippo if it's there. If it's not there, I can pop like a melon potentially. And my hope is just that dog will trade hippo effectively and we'll also be able to kill swan. But then because I find the other skunk, I just put dog front because it's not worth getting like the slight extra stats from this. Which does end up being a mistake because then I have to deal with this hippo and my shark doesn't quite get enough health and attack. This melon's very important. It's kind of hard to buy cans on this board, as much as I would want to. I find the skunk, I decide to freeze roll it, and I just buy this pear, I think. Yeah. Because I really want to keep the level for tier 6s, and I also want to keep this sheep immediately. At this point, like, I assume the worst, and I assume that I'm going to feed the hippo. And then I hope that the dog still trades with it. And it just barely doesn't. So all of a sudden, this is very scary, because it's 3 lives to 3, but I have all tempo. I have nothing but tempo. He's got giant units, this giant swan, big hippo, with scaling, and a skunk. But all is not lost. I thought about just cycling everything out here to get as many dog stats as possible, but I decided that, like, ultimately it would not be worth spending all of my gold on that. So I take this mammoth. I find the pill, and I pill turtle onto shark so that it can survive croc and things like that now. I take this rhino. Now, the thing is that this rhino is not particularly good against anything because the main problems are these units. But similarly, deer will just end up feeding hippo a lot of the time and doesn't do that much for shark. It could have still potentially been better than the rhino, but I think by this point I did not have much time left. I think, like, literally my positioning happened in the last 2 seconds. It might not have been this turn, it might have been the next turn. And now the hippo has chili, which just means it gets, like, even more triggers. We barely missed this breakpoint. But the rhino is able to pop the melon here, and shark is able to break through. So, like, sure, he's on 2 lives, but the quality of boards is just so much worse for me than it is for him. I freeze roll this pill. I could have gone for, like, chocolate on shark and, like, tried to pill mammoth immediately, but I wanted something better than rhino to buff in this spot. But ultimately it just wasn't happening. Because I also wanted this cow on board. And I put 1 on shark to get it out of any croc snipes, and then 1 on dog. And none of those units are even really good enough to replace cow with. And I could have locked chocolate here. I saw it in game kind of after the fact, and I was like, maybe I should have locked chocolate to go for level 2 shark as a big improvement, but I kind of ultimately decided, like, I need a lot of equipment to deal with this board. I need, like, steaks, I need maybe scorpions, I need melons and things like that, which I valued higher than the shark level. And this hippo's level 2 now, so it's giant. Kind of just gets free reign through my entire board. There wasn't really a positioning I could do to beat that. But I find the shark. I buy another cow, and I get this scorpion in. Now the scorpion mind games begin. Because the scorpion is very hard to play anywhere but first, because of chili on hippo. I decide to put it third anyway, because I want to make the read that he doesn't go front hippo. Which I think is a reasonable read to make, because he also has Scorp and is playing the Scorp mind games. And so I'm assuming maybe that won't happen. I freeze Mushroom and the level 2 Shark. And okay, I mean, front boar is there, and there's Armadillo. But unfortunately, this doesn't quite trade it. And then my Scorpion dies to his Scorpion. And then my units are too small to deal with Hippo. So I'm at 1 life at this point. Nopta's at 2. I find Fly, and I sell my Scorpion so that I can buy Fly, buy a new Scorpion, and mushroom it, and get a bit of extra dog stats. That's the level of desperation we're at here. But I mushroom Scorp because I think that will be good into like everything on his board. He still has this Armadillo. But I pop Melon and my Scorp kills Swan. This Fly is actually really relevant for getting rid of melons and things like that. And we're just about able to survive. It's 1-1 all of a sudden. We have Shark Fly. We have found a melon to put on dog. I could have bought both those stat foods, but I really wanted steak. To put on skunk. Now, here there were a lot of different positionings. The main concern that I had was that it was very easy for Nopta to get this, to get a good breakpoint on skunk where it survives and kills and then gains stats again. And I think at that point it would kind of be over. But I decided that it would be best to go with this still. Because if I fronted Scorpion, then all of a sudden my steak unit dies or I lose a lot of melon. Like my skunk would die to chili. So ultimately I decided it's safer to just put it first. We face front boar, which isn't getting skunked, which is the main important factor here. The Fly is just giving a lot of dog stats. Like, we don't really care that the Flies are feeding boar because we have a Scorpion coming up, so none of the stats really matter. We get an extra Fly. It trades with this Fly and gets dog over this breakpoint. Scorpion hits dog, and our Shark is big enough to trade everything. Yeah, there we go. I ended up winning this set 4-3, and it was a very, very close set overall. I think I'm happy with how both of us played, and like even though there were some high roll games, you come to expect as much in a best of 7 especially. As I'm recording this, the score is 2-2 for our team in the semifinals. We just need to win 2 out of the remaining 3 sets. We have Void versus Pranker. We have Skywave versus Light, and we have Hen King versus Chef. And if we win 2 out of the 3 of those, then we get to move on to the finals, which is very, very exciting, because I don't think I've been there since Season 8. And I really want to get a ring. It's very overdue, in my completely unbiased opinion. But anyway, that's about it. Have a wonderful day.